Math Grade 6 Week 5. Multiplication of decimals with two decimal place factors. By Sir Jerome D. Capalad and Ma'am Jonelyn A. Capalad, to the viewers. The content of this video lesson is from Mathematics Module Grade 6 provided by DepEd San Pablo City through the assistance of DepEd Region 4A. If there are errors that you noticed, kindly inform the teacher so that necessary actions will be administered. Please refrain from posting it on social media to avoid misunderstanding, and do not let your rant be the subject of your posting. Thank you and God bless. Reminders on the answer sheet in math. You will use this answer sheet in math for week 5. No need to use extra sheets if the solution fits on the space provided. The questions and activity can still be found in the module. Objective. After going through this lesson, you are expected to multiply decimals and mixed decimals up to 2 decimal places. Introduction. In multiplying a decimals by another decimal, you can multiply them as if they are whole numbers. In placing the decimal point in the product, get the sum of the number of decimal places in each factor. Sophia spent 5,800 hours sewing an apron and 300 times as much to put the finishing touches on it. How long did it take her to do the finishing touches? To solve this, let's multiply the given data by using these steps. Step 1. Align the factors and decimal points vertically. Add zeros if needed, then multiply with the rightmost digit of the number below. 3 times 8 is 24. 4 will stay below, then carry 2. 3 times 5 is 15 plus 2, which is the carried number, equals 17. Retain the digit 7 below, then carry 1. 3 times 0 equals 0 plus 1, which is the carried number, equals 1. So the product of the hundreds is 174. Step 2. Multiply the next digit. Since we can apply the zero property of multiplication, which state that any number multiplied by 0 is 0, we will just put 0 as its product. The number of 0 will depend on the number of digits. 0 times 8 is 0, 0 times 5 is 0, and 0 times 0 is 0. Be mindful of the alignment of the product, because one wrong alignment will result wrong answers. Step 3. Multiply the next digit. We can also apply the zero property of multiplication on this part. Step 4. Add the partial products. Bring down 4, 7 plus 0 is 7, 1 plus 0 plus 0 is 1. Then the rest are zeros. Step 5. Count the number of decimal places, 1, 2, 3, 4, then put the decimal point on the final product. 1, 2, 3, 4. It took Sophia 174 10,000th hour in doing the finishing touches on the apron. Have a practice on putting decimal point. Let's try number 1. If you notice, the partial and final product were already present. Count first the number of decimal places. Now, count the decimal place for the final product starting from the rightmost digit. You can omit or remove 0 after the decimal point except if it's between a non-zero digit. Let's now proceed to the development part. To multiply decimals, 1. Ignore the decimal points and multiply as if they are whole numbers. 2. Place the decimal point in the product based on the total number of decimal places in the factors. 3. In multiplying a decimal by a whole number, the number of decimal places in the product is the same as that in the decimal factor. Have a practice on multiplying decimals. Let's try number 1 of learning task 2. 3 and 53 hundredths times 1 and 25 hundredths. Step 1. Ignore the decimal points. Multiply as if whole numbers. Start with the rightmost digit. 5 times 3 is 15, retain 5 and then carry 1. 5 times 5 is 25 plus 1 is 26. Retain 6 then carry 2. 5 times 3 is 15 plus 2 is 17. Do the same with the next digits. Be mindful of the alignment of the partial product. Remember, wrong alignment means wrong answer. Step 2. Count the decimal places of the factors, which is the same as the decimal places of the final product. Have another practice on multiplying decimals. Assimilation Learning Task 4, page 23. On the answer sheet provided, write only the solution, answer, and label of each problem. This is to be submitted. There is also a correction on number 2 of letter B. Kindly check the weekly home learning plan for your reference.
Math Grade 6 Week 5. Multiplies decimal numbers mentally by powers of 10. Lesson 2. Objective. After going through this lesson, you are expected to multiply mentally decimals up to 2 decimals places by 1/10ths, 100ths, and 1,000ths in powers of 10. Introduction. Multiplying decimals by power of 10 tell us how many places it is moved when multiplying by 10 to the first power. In this lesson, you will learn multiplying decimals mentally up to 2 decimal places by 1/10ths, 100ths, 1,000ths, 10 and 100. Review. Answer learning task 1 on page 24. This is just a practice. If you think you know this already, you can skip this task. This can also be done orally or with a computation paper with no submission required. A plane travels at the rate of 1500ths km per second. How far does it travel in 10 seconds? 100 seconds? 1000 seconds? Compute the following on your computation paper, then look at what happens to the decimal point of each product. After the computation you will see this products. A decimal point at the rightmost place can be omitted or removed since it shows that the number is whole number. Now, are you seeing some technique on how to bypass or skip the computation process? Okay, you're right. You just move the decimal point to the right according to the number of zeros. 10 has 1 0, 1 movement to the right. 100 has 2 zeros, 2 movements to the right. 1000 has 3 zeros, 3 movements to the right. Since the movement exceeded the number of digits, you will put 0 as a placeholder. The same goes in using exponent. 10 to the first power means only 10. 10 to the second power means 10 times 10, which is 100. 10 to the third power means 10 times 10 times 10, which is 1000. The number of exponent is the number of movement to the right. Now let's multiply it by tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. Your answer should be like this. Are you seeing any technique to bypass or skip the computation process? You're correct again. Since we are dealing now with decimals, the movement is now to the left and according to the number of decimal places. The same goes with the negative exponents. Learning Task 2. Answer Learning Task 2 on page 25. This is just a practice. If you think you know this already, you can skip this task. This can also be done orally or with a computation paper with no submission required. Engagement. Answer Learning Task 3 on page 25. This is just a practice. If you think you know this already, you can skip this task. This can also be done orally or with a computation paper with no submission required. Assimilation. Learning Task 4, page 25. On the answer sheet provided, write only the solution, answer, and label of each problem. This is to be submitted. Problem solving involving decimal numbers. Continuation of Lesson 2. Learning Task 1, page 26. Practice. You will use the chart to answer the questions. The following are your guide and clue. Number 1, you will multiply 15 by the calorie per minute. Number 2, since there is the word and, you will combine 60 minutes, 1 hour, of standing times its calorie per minute and 10 minutes of washing the dishes times its calorie per minute. Number 3, on your own. Sorry. It's time you do the task on your own. Learning Task 2, page 26. Practice. The following are your guide and clue. Number 1, centavos are lesser than 1 peso. Number 2, since there is the word left, we will subtract. We are talking about meters here, not money. So therefore there is one data that is not needed. Number 3, on your own. Be confident. I know you can solve this. Learning Task 3, page 27, to be submitted. The following are your guide and clue. Number 1, this is a combination of multiplication and addition. You need to find his earning for 40 hours, his overtime pay, and on holiday pay. This is an example of non-routine word problem. Number 2, you will just multiply the hourly rate to the hours he worked for a week. This is an example of routine word problem. Number 3 to 5, on your own. Believe in yourself that you can solve it. Learning Task 4, page 27, to be submitted. You will create your own problem based on the given data. First, think of a scenario about earnings. Then think of your characters. It could be an artist, your favorite cartoon characters, or even your own family members. Lastly, think of a proper question for the given data.
Thanks for watching and see you on the next video lesson in Math Grade 6.